Alright, here we are. This is the right side, the side that the actual upper ball joint came loose. Wound up, after trying to press the bushings out, we tore up two of the control arms, so I wound up ordering new control arms. So we got new control arms, new ball joints, upper, new ball joint, lower, new axle, and new tie rod ends, and I've also got a new sway bar. I'm going to put that on probably last. And so I've already got this side on, so we'll go to the other side. I went ahead, since I had the issue with the ball joints. I think I mentioned earlier that I had replaced the upper ball joints about 2 years ago, but I bought the cheap ones, so this time I went with Moog for everything, and I figured it's worth paying the extra money. So this is the left side. If you can see, nothing but the strut left. I did have to, in order to get the lower control arm off, you have to loosen up the rack and pinion and pry it out. I didn't pry it all the way off because I didn't want to disconnect all the lines and stuff, but I did. You can pry it out enough to get that bolt out. These bolts, I chose to keep the old ones. The replacements that you get are crappy from what I've seen and what I've read. I did, after the fact, go on to a genuine Toyota parts website, and these things are pretty expensive. They're about 30 or 40 bucks each. So I took these and just put them on a grinding wheel, or not a grinding wheel, but a wire brush wheel, and clean them up real good, because they were kind of rusty. One of them I had to beat out, and I had to wind up getting a file and filing this back into shape. As you can see, it's got some flat edges so that it'll go on here and moves together. But anyway, before you take these off, I don't know if you can see it, I'll show it from this side. Before you take this off, it's a good idea to mark the position so that you can at least get it, somewhat close to what it was. So what I did is took I find fingernail polish to work the best, and mark that. Now, one thing I did not do that you should do, there's a line right here. I don't know if you can see it in this camera picture, but I would mark where that is at as well, because this moves back and forth, and it turns, so it moves it adjusts your caster and camber. But anyway, that's how that works. So we're gonna begin putting this side back together, and then once we get this back together, then I'll be able to push the rack and pinion back in and torque that down, and then I'll go back and torque all of the bolts. On the other side, I did torque the control arms. I went in and torqued those, but I got to go back and torque the upper and lower control arm to the knuckle, and I'll have to torque the tie rod ends. So anyway, that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna try to get this baby back on the road. Then I'm gonna have to start some body work, because when the ball joint fell out, it screwed up my right fender. So that's that. So we're gonna see what we can do. Try my hand at body work. See if I can get this camera positioned to where we got the best angle. I think you can see it from there. And we're in coastal South Georgia, and it is, thank God I got a little bit of shade. I don't have a cover out here, but it is hot, or it has been hot today. 95, I think, ambient temperature, with a heat index of about 106. But it beats the heck out of snow. And the way when they towed the truck home, the way it's in here on this left side, I don't have a whole lot of room, so it's kind of messed up. But let me see if I can level this camera up a little bit. I don't want you looking all crooked. That's a little better. Alright. Here we go. Now this fits in kind of tight, so actually I forgot to do something. Get you a wire brush and clean this up, but be careful not to rub your marks off, or you won't be able to line it back up. You get all kind of dust and grime and stuff up in here, so it's a good idea to just clean it off real good. Over on the right side, and I don't know why this is, but the bolt, this part here was really rusty, and I had a heck of a time getting it out, but I did get it. So some of the newer control arm bolts actually have grease points in them, which I thought was pretty cool, but the reviews that I read said that the bolts just were not of good quality, and they all recommended to go back with original equipment, so I'm just gonna make do with the old ones. Anyway, once you get that cleaned up, I'm sitting on an incline here, so it's kind of rough. So you get this started in there, just kind of bump it in. Lined up. And I've got the transfer case open, and that gear oil stinks, man. It stinks. If you've ever done this before, you know what I'm talking about. So, see, this is the hard part. See, I don't know if you can see this. The boot's right here. And you don't want to damage that boot, or I didn't want to, because I didn't want to take that apart and have to replace those, the inner tie rod ends. I did contemplate replacing the rack and pinion, but I just didn't want to put. It's about $300 or more, plus a core. So, but if you got the money while you're up here, you might as well do it all. You know what I mean? So, anyway. Oh, come on, baby. Make sure we're lined up here. Oop. We're lined up. There. And you know, I don't know why they didn't make them come out this side. That was Toyota. I don't know, man. You wonder what these engineers are thinking sometimes when they design these things. But, and you may have to get a hammer, tap on it a little bit. Just don't want to tear nothing up. Persuasion. Boot's still good. That's all I'm worried about. There we go. Now on this side, I marked both sides, this side and this side. On the right hand side, I didn't do that, but I'm gonna get it just close enough to where I can drive it up to the tire shop, and they can align it, because I gotta get 2 new tires, and then they can line her up. This is what you call true backyard mechanics right here. Okay. That looks good. And when you're tightening this up, you definitely have to have a wrench on both sides, because once you get it in place, you got to keep it from turning, because this will, as you turn, that whole thing will turn and it'll mess up your alignment. I had also put a mark here, I don't know if you can see what I'm pointing to, for the old control arm, because you know, I'd have a place to mark it and make sure it was back the right way, but that didn't work out too good for me. So I just replaced the shocks about, I don't know, a couple years ago also, so I chose not to change those this time. You have to be super careful with these bolts, because you don't want to screw up the threads. See what's going on here. There we go. There we go. Alright. So, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. I don't remember. I think that's a 19. I always tell everybody, working on your vehicles always affords you the opportunity to buy a new tool. So just about every time I've worked on mine, I've had to buy something I didn't have. So builds your tool inventory up. Oh, sure. Okay. good idea too to, if you don't have a shop manual, to get one, or at least go online and get all your torque values, because all these bolts are supposed to be torqued so to a certain specification. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. This is something I want to show you. Let me take you out of here. I took the sway bar off, the anti-sway bar, and with the idea that I was going to reuse it, but when I took the bushings off, I was just going to replace the bushings, which you probably could do that and it probably wouldn't hurt anything, but it had worn into that solid piece of metal so bad that I was like, see the indentation? I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. So that